Joining us now, Republican Congressman Lou Barletta. He represents the 11th Congressional District in Pennsylvania, and he is the Republican nominee for U.S. Senate. He'll be taking on incumbent Senator Casey there. This is expected to be a very close race. As you know, the president carrying Pennsylvania, that's one of the states that really put him over the top in 2016. And Lou Barletta is starting to catch fire there, and he is joining us now again. Congressman Barletta, soon to be calling you Senator Barletta. Good to have you with us.
Good to talk to you again, John.
Now, we got a lot of politics to go over in Sanctuary City, and we've got foreign policy, but let's get our priorities straight, okay? As you know, Lou played baseball. He's a very good athlete. I played baseball in college. Lou played baseball, but we're on opposite ends here. Lou was a hitter, and I was a pitcher, so I hate hitters, but I still like Lou. I don't like hitters. But, Lou, you're a Yankees fan lifelong. I'm a 55-year lifelong Astros fan. I think we're going to meet again, Lou. I think Oakland goes to New York. Yankees win that game. I think the Yankees then beat Boston because there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on there. And the Astros beat Cleveland, and then we meet again. What do you think?
I love that. I love that scenario.
You like that scenario?
I do. I love it.
And
I think the Yankees getting McCutcheon right now was a good move for them. Hopefully Aaron Judge comes back and he finishes strong, and I think we could see an Astros-Yankees championship series.
Well, last year it was classic, no question about it, and of course I'm rooting for that because then we get 4 games at home, even though the Yankees' record is most likely going to be better than the Astros record because we won the division. You're a wild card. Now, let's get to your campaign. You're running for U.S. Senate. You got the nomination. A lot of people says, Casey's been there a long time. This is kind of a long shot for Lou Barletta. How's this race shaping up now, Lou?
Sure. I have a history of beating people I shouldn't beat. Congressman that I beat to get here was a 28-year incumbent in a district that was 2-1 Democrat. Bob Casey, the Bob Casey today is not the Bob Casey that was elected in 2006. That Bob Casey was a pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, moderate Democrat. Bob Casey today has moved so far left that he's one of the most liberal senators in Washington. So far left that he actually said that he would vote no against whoever President Trump nominated for the Supreme Court. Even before he named Kavanaugh, Casey was voting against him. He supports sanctuary cities. He supports open borders. This is not Pennsylvania values. It's not the same Bob Casey that was elected, and we're gonna beat him, and we're gonna beat him at the end.
Lou, this is a real, Congressman Barletta, this is a real dilemma now for basically moderate Democrats like Bob Casey, who was a moderate. In order for them to maintain their status, be nominated, get the support, get the progressives to get out for them, they've got to go way left. I mean, you look at the results yesterday in Massachusetts. I mean, did you ever think that Capuno would get beat? He got killed by, this is when Congressman Capuno, who you serve with, he's a really good guy. He's one of the most liberal members of Congress.
Right.
And he got crushed by somebody that's a socialist. I mean, what is going on with these people?
They're just moved. Their party literally has moved so far left. They are a blink away from socialism right now, and that's who's really driving their party. Where people like Bob Casey either come along or they're going to be kicked out. So he's moved with them. He's willing to do that to stay here in Washington. His voting record matches Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. That's not Pennsylvania. Bob Casey would be a good senator for the people of California, be a good senator for the people of Massachusetts, but that doesn't represent the values of Pennsylvania. And I believe, the media, much of the national media covers up for that. They still list him as a moderate pro-life Democrat. He has 100% voting record with NARAL, which is not pro-life. You got to call it for what it is. And when you support sanctuary cities, That's not what the workers and families of Pennsylvania want.
What is going on with the sanctuary city situation, Congressman, in Philadelphia? Explain that.
Sure. So, I was a mayor that was sued for standing up for the rule of law. And now we have Philadelphia, the mayor of Philadelphia, declaring their Philadelphia as a sanctuary city. You may have saw the video. If you haven't, Google it. It's worth watching. The mayor doing a cha-cha dance, celebrating a sanctuary city ruling that they were awarded. Well, just recently, they picked up an illegal alien who had been deported, snuck back into the United States, was picked up by Philadelphia police. ICE had put a detainer on him because Philadelphia is a sanctuary city. They let him go. And the man went out and raped a 5-year-old girl. The question is, was it a sanctuary for that little girl? Is it a sanctuary for that family? I mean, how much are people going to put up with this any longer? Bob Casey supports sanctuary cities. There's been silence. I've asked him almost every day, please come out and let the people of Pennsylvania know, do you still support sanctuary cities after this? And no response.
And Congressman, you've been fighting this battle since you were mayor of Hazleton some years ago. That's how you got to Congress. And it's like nothing has changed. In fact, since Hazleton, it's gotten worse.
It has gotten worse, and it's gotten worse because of Washington. That's who created this problem. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Politicians come down here, they get here, they say all the right things, and then they go back and they don't do anything about it. I mean, this is unbelievable that we're talking about this for so many years. Not only the fact that it's a threat to our jobs, to our wages, all the problems that has, but the fact that terrorists, we know terrorists would love to come into this country and harm the American people, and we still can't secure our borders. We still can't say, listen, there's a legal process for coming into the United States, and you have to follow that process. This is so unfair to the immigrants, legal immigrants who've waited years to come into this country, and then we pull the carpet out from underneath them and make them compete as well as Americans compete for these jobs, depressing the wages of the American worker. Enough is enough. That's why Donald Trump was elected. He had the courage to stand up and say exactly what we're saying here today, and the American people responded. The only ones who haven't responded, John, are those that we've sent down here to Washington to do that job.
So that's one of the issues you think you're going to turn the corner and win this Senate race in Pennsylvania, because it's not on anybody's radar screen. Like when we talk about the pickups, Pennsylvania's not there.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't there either when they were talking about the presidential election.
Should I add it to one of my upset specials?
Please do, because they're still trying to figure out how Donald Trump won Pennsylvania. They still can't figure that out. I talked to then candidate Trump in Gettysburg like week and a half before the election, and he was telling me that their polling had him down 6 points and that he couldn't win Pennsylvania. And I pleaded with him to please don't pull out of Pennsylvania. The polls are wrong. Do not believe the polling in Pennsylvania. You have union blue-collar Democrats who are voting for Donald Trump, and they weren't telling any pollster. They weren't telling their mother they were voting for Donald Trump. And they won't show up in the polling. Those workers are not disappointed with the job he's doing. The economy is soaring. So they're still not telling any pollster, who they're voting for. And if you voted for Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, you cannot vote for Bob Casey. He is leading the resistance against everything this president's doing. So this will be a second surprise to them. They're still trying to figure out what happened in 2016.
Well, I think they're looking at the Connor Lamb situation. What was that, outside of Pittsburgh, right?
Correct.
And they're saying, well, Connor Lamb won, so, the Democrats are coming home. But I think that was a unique situation, Congressman Barletta, wasn't it?
It was definitely a unique situation.
He was a really good candidate. The
right.
Republican was not a very good candidate.
And Bob Casey doesn't represent the values that Connor Lamb was campaigning on. This Bob Casey is one of the most liberal senators in Washington. Connor Lamb did not run like that. And here's, what the media also doesn't tell you, that it was a Democrat district.
Right.
Connor Lamb won a Democrat district.
Right.
I don't know why they're raising the flag so high, like as if he.
And it was close.
It was close,
It was
right?
very close.
You know what was so horrific? What was so heroic about him winning a district that was more Democrats than Republicans?
That's right, exactly. Lou, let's get to foreign policy. You're running for U.S. Senate. Obviously, you get there, you're going to be dealing with some of these issues a bit more than you are in Congress. Let's start with the Yemeni situation, where the Saudi and Emirates coalition bombing the Houthis, the United States and the UK, part of this, the Saudis buying U.S. military hardware, military advisors, school bus blown up, 50,000 casualties so far in this war. If you're in the Senate, are you going to be asking questions about why the hell we're there?
There's no question. I mean, I think we have to ask that question in many cases to really see what's happening and how we were handling it. You know, we're transitioning from President Obama's foreign policy, which is much different than President Donald Trump's foreign policy. I mean, the red line that was crossed in Syria, our dealing with Iran, you know, taking the sanctions off of Iran. You know, they're the biggest threat still. I mean, they still, chant death to the United States, death to Israel. So I think this president has proven that he's going to look at each case and see what is the role of the United States and what is our policies there, whether to stay, who we're backing, and who we're giving money to. I think he's made that a major linchpin in his foreign policy. Is like, listen, why should the American taxpayer be giving you money just like Germany, and then you're buying energy from Russia? I mean, he's raising a lot of questions, nation by nation, as to what is our role, and should we be there, and who should we be backing, and who's our allies, and he's certainly not drawing a red line and walking away from it. They're going to be investigating, obviously, the school bus bombing to see what happened there. But this president's taking a whole different look at our foreign policy than what we're coming from in President Obama.
Congressman, do you think that we should debate getting a new AUMF, an authorization for military force? The one that we're acting on now has been in place since 2001.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need we need to have policies that fit the situation of today. And many of these, as you said, at the time that they were negotiated and they were implemented, don't reflect the world today and what's happened. And again, I think this president is shining a whole different light, raising a lot of questions. Whether it's NATO and what's the role? What's the role of NATO? Is it the same as today? And obviously it's not. We have different threats today, and we haven't kept up with those threats. This president is taking a business look at what we're doing and how do we keep the world a safer place. And you can't say something back in 2001 fits 2018.
Yesterday, the president tweeting out that if Assad and the Russian Federation move ahead with a further offensive in Syria, that he warned them not to do that if it continues to harm innocent people. Do you have any idea what our position is on Syria? And if you're in the U.S. Senate, what do you think we ought to do?
Yeah, well, the president, I think he's pretty clear. He wants the Russians backing off in Syria. Appears in the last day or two they may not be backing off. I do believe that this president means it when he said that he'll it would be a mistake. He's proven that already. I believe that he will again make sure that his words are heard by the Russians and Syria, in the fact that he said there will be thousands more people killed if they don't stop. And I would bet that this president's going to take some type of action in protecting the rebels there, and he's given warning to the Russians before, and I don't think it's going to be a red line that he's just going to draw in the sand and let them trample over. It's not with the way he's acted.
We've been in Afghanistan since 2001. We're in a 17-year war. General McMaster advised when he was NSC another 5,000 troops. Now we've got 15,000 troops there. What's the end game?
Well, we're not going to let the Taliban take control back of Afghanistan, and that's been pretty clear, and that's always been the challenge. There is when President Obama talked about getting out and sending a message and a letter and writing it into the sky, what we're going to do is not a good idea. We can't just turn around and let the get control again. So I think the end game there is, unfortunately, making sure that the Taliban stays, in a place where they cannot continue to attack. We saw an American soldier killed in Afghanistan, and that's unacceptable as well.
Congressman, Mueller investigation. You're in Congress. You've been, this has been going on now. He's got 15 attorneys. Now they're investigating Trump's organization's financial documents. Is this a legitimate investigation or not, in your judgment?
Well, we're so far off where we started right now that most American people, reasonable Americans, say, what, are they just continuing to go down rabbit holes until they find something? The whole collusion with the Trump campaign and the Russians is not there. So why? Why are we continuing to try to find something? I've been traveling, John, all around Pennsylvania, and I could tell you, I haven't had one person, no matter where I've gone, talk to me about collusion, Trump, Mueller. They're not concerned.
They don't care.
They're numb to this now. They're numb to this. It just appears to be, we're going to keep going down rabbit holes until we get something so that prove that it was worth what we're doing. And I think most American people now have turned it off.
I think you're right. A lot of people that we talk to in our line of work, same thing. I mean, they bring other things up. They don't bring that up. We're out of time. I want to thank Congressman Lou Barletta for being with us. He is the Republican running for U.S. Senate from Pennsylvania against Bob Casey. That'll be decided November 6th. Lou, very quickly, Senate campaign website. What is it?
LouBarletta.com.